Hey everyone, John Michael Swift here for another Songwriter's Grooves lesson. This is part of the synthetic strumming series. We're doing Wall of Death by Richard Thompson. It's got some kind of twisty melodies mixed in, and you can also alternate some finger picking into this technique. But it's basically a strumming song with some kind of fun twists to it. So first thing, use the lesson navigator down in the description box below to find your way around this lesson, because there's all kinds of information in these lessons. But if you want to focus on a particular part, I'll try to explain what I'm going to talk about at every part of the video and then where I say it, so you can go to the part you care about the most. Also, this is going to be one of, I think, 2 lessons on this song. The first one is going to be kind of a basic, here are the basic riffs, here's a basic way to get through the song, and then the next version I'm really going to focus on how Richard plays it live and how you integrate a lot of those techniques into the kind of simplified version of the song, which will get you through the fingerings but may not get you every kind of nasty finger picking technique he uses. I mean, Richard uses, his playing is notoriously difficult to pin down, especially in the picking hand. His picking hand is, you know, doing something different every bar, and he'll switch between techniques between different performances, and it's a lot of fun to study it, but it definitely can be a little maddening as well. So we're going to start to break that down a little bit at a time. But I mean, yeah, I think with that, let's get into the intro, I think. So the first thing I'll do is go through some of the chord shapes. You're in drop D tuning for this song with a capo on 5. So it's a lot of kind of normal chord. This kind of the sounding key is G, but the fingering is all D chords. So it's mostly things you'll be familiar with, but with a couple of twists. So the first thing you start with this kind of like high D power chord. So you use your pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, your B string, and then the pinky up here on the 5th fret of the 1st string. And again, those are all relative to the capo. So that's the first bit. And then it's really important hammer riff. You kind of will pick up the pointer finger and hammer onto the 2nd fret of your 5th string, your A string, and play all of that. So those are 2 really important shapes for the intro. And that's really kind of what it's all based around. He basically kind of goes... The main melodies, he does that hammer, and then he plays open and 2, then moves the pointer finger right over to 2 on your 6th string, then uses the ring finger to play 4 on the 6th string, and then open. And he kind of plays it with this sort of alternating picking pattern where he goes, plucks the bass, strums the upper chord, goes pluck, up, down, up, more or less. He kind of varies it a bit, but that's the basic idea. So try to get that first. And then you're going to mix in this melody in there, this old bass melody. So he goes, the pattern, hammer, he goes hammer, brush, and then the bass melody. And again, try it a little slower. I'll play it together with you. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and... again. That's the main idea of the intro right there. And we can use most of that basic idea through the rest of the song. There will be some slight strumming variations to get a little bit of a different feel, but let's start with that basic pattern of boom, chick, boom, a chicka, boom, chick, boom, a chicka. Basically assume we're going to do that pattern over all the chords unless I tell you otherwise. So again, it's going to do that same basic idea over the D chord at first. Let me ride on the wall of death. And then use that finger over, and in this idea. One more time. So the first 2 bars are, let me ride on the wall of death. One more time. So on that last part, he goes... it's the same basic pattern, but he goes boom, chick, moves the finger, boom, a chick, a boom. Again, it's boom, chick, finger, a chick, a boom. That intro part one more time. Let me ride on the wall of death one more time. Let me. So that's the first 4 bars right there. Then it's going to go to a B minor chord. You can pretty much use a regular B minor here, but you want to try to not hear the outer strings. Your low D and your high E. You want to kind of not hear them. So you want to try to hear. And I should also say while I'm at it, a lot of times you can hit more than one bass note. You can hit the bottom 2 bass notes with your bass hit. It's kind of how he plays this chord. So see if you can pull that, same pattern. Let me ride on the wall. Then he's going to go to an open G chord that you use for drop D tuning. So you're going to use your ring finger on the 5th fret of your 6th string, the pinky on the 5th fret of the 5th string, the A string, and then your pointer finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And if you can, you want to try to like use either your palm or kind of lean your pointer finger over so you don't hear the E string, because you don't want to hear, you don't want that note in there. So you want to try to hear, it's a nice open G chord. So you can catch that in there. All right, so it goes from the B minor, let me ride on the wall, to the G, one more time. And the next chord is an A chord. Now he uses this kind of A sus shape for everything. I don't think he ever really plays that 2nd fret of the 2nd string. He never really plays like a full A chord. Sometimes he'll do the 3rd fret of the B string. Sometimes he'll do the open B string, but he really does never do that note, at least that I've seen so far. So you could basically just play it with 2 fingers if you wanted, like 2 on the D string, 2 on the G string, or kind of middle 2 strings. You could basically play that. Now a lot of times he'll use his thumb around on the thickest string, the 6th string. So we can do an alternating bass or sometimes some bass runs. He'll do that a lot. So with this, he basically goes, it's slightly different here. He goes boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chick, boom. So he kind of does a quick alternating bass here. It goes boom, chick, boom, chick. And it's okay to get plenty of open B in there, although he tends to focus a bit on these 3 strings here. Sometimes he might lean his fingers down to get both of these thick strings out. That's another way to do it. So I'd say for now what I'll do is I'll leave the open B in there. So I'm going to go, I'll do this A pattern one more time. You're just going to go boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chick, boom, chicka. Again, he's doing the 5th string, the 6th string, and then the 6th string twice again for his bass notes. Boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick. And the first 2 bass notes are going to get 2 chickas after them because it just busies a little more of this chord. So boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chick, boom, chicka. And then the second bar is the regular pattern. And that takes us to the next part of the verse. I guess this is also the chorus. The chorus and the verse actually use the same changes. I just realized that now. Haha. So it goes back to the G we were on before. You can waste your time on the other rides. So you basically do 2 bars of this pattern. Do the first pattern. And you start it again. But before you can finish, you go 5, 4, 2, 0. Just from right where you were, 5, 4, 2, 0. And you try to land on that A bass string, because that's where your next chord is going to be. So you really want to go. That's where you're going next. So it's really, you can waste time on the other rides. To be alive. And if you want to there, you can throw in an extra bass run there. Sometimes he'll go, that's one I like to throw in there if I can. So you try to go boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka. And you kind of alternate the bass. A, E, A, and then you go 2, 4, open A, 2, and 4 on the thick string, on the 6th string, and then open A string. So that would be 5th string, chick, 6th string, chick, 5th string, chick. So that's over the A chord. So let's try going back to this G chord where we said you could waste your time. Let's go back to that part real quick and see if we can catch all that. 1, 2, oh, 1, 2, 3. You can waste your time on the other rides. Bass down. It is to feel alive. So go over that, slow it down if you need to make it fit. And why don't we, well, real quick, I'll throw you the last 4 bars of the chorus / verse changes, and then we'll put the whole thing together. So this one, it basically goes the first D chord we did, to the B minor that we did, to the G that we did, to the A, and if anything, you could do the open 9 here. I'm going to do the sus here, because a lot of times he does the sus chord, so you'll play basically 3 on the 2nd string, 2 on the 3rd string, and 2 on the 4th string, and then everything else you want to get in there. So this changes are basically D, chick, B minor, chick, G, chick, A sus, chick, and you basically do the intro riff again. There you go. So why don't we try to put that all together extra dextra slow. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, D. Boom, chick, boom, a chick, a finger, boom, chick, boom, a chick, a boom, chick, finger, boom, to B minor, G, A sus, G, bass is coming, bass line, D, B minor, G, A, so that basically encompasses the intro and all the choruses and verses. And then the only other part there is related to the song to learn is the bridge. So with most of the bridge, I basically use the boom-a chicka pattern over everything just because it drives it a little more. It lets it get a little more intense. It goes B minor, B in one pattern. It does this F sharp minor shape with that same pattern. I do ring on 4 on the 6th string, pinky on 4 on the 5th string, pointer on 2 and 2 on the inner 2 strings, the 3rd and 4th. So I kind of bar this F sharp minor. So you basically go that kind of twice, and then you kind of do this sort of drop D, E minor. I usually just kind of use a bar across 2 on the 6th, 4th, and 5th strings, and I would keep it the same pattern. Now one thing Richard Thompson does is he does a fill here, and he always does a different fill. I'm going to try to pick a particularly easy one to throw in here for the time being. So the key that you want to do is you stop doing the boom a chick every bit. You start when you get to this E minor, you go, and I'd say, when do we start the? So I'd say you go boom a chick boom and then you're going to start this lick, and you're going to focus your strumming kind of on the upper 4 strings. You're going to try to avoid the 6th and 5th strings for a second here. Basically go. In fact, I might switch to all downstrokes for this because it gives you a little more control and drives the feeling a little bit more. So I might go. And let me show you how I do that real quick. So you basically think, if you're going to think of just the melody, you think open D, 2nd on the D, 4 on the D, back to 2 on the D, open D, 2. Basically goes na 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 and then you just kind of strum all the open strings above that. And for the rest of the bar, you keep just going down, 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 down until the next pattern starts. So you kind of got to jump into that from boom-a chicka boom-a da 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 da. It might help if I count along with that to help you place it, because it's a little tricky at first. So if I go into it, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and boom, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So try that. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So go over that as many times as you need to really kind of lock it in. And once you've got that in there, I would see if you can jump in from the 2 parts before where you go B minor, F sharp minor, do that again, B minor, F sharp minor, and then that minor. So work that till you get it, and then there's really only one more part, because the next 4 bars, I guess it's the next 2 bars. Next 2 bars are just the B minor, F sharp minor figure again. On the wall of death, there's nothing like. So the last little fragment of the bridge that we have, he basically does a palm mute on the G and the A sus chords that we did before. And he does some different kind of syncopated patterns in there. I'm gonna give you kind of a simple one to do, where you're just gonna you're gonna just palm mute and then open strum the 2s and the 4s. So you basically go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 A sus, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 2 bars of the A sus. And that would basically come on the second half of the bridge. La 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 la. You'd be right back into the verse again. So let's try to put the whole bridge together. So basically you have this 2 parts. You have the B minor, F sharp minor riff, and then the E minor lick. And then you have the same B minor, F sharp minor bit, and then this kind of palm muting riff. That's the basic idea. So let's see if we can put that all together. I'll go a hair slow. 1, 2, 3. La 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 la. La 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 la. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 A sus. 1, 2, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and back to the top. So there you go. We've essentially covered all the main parts of the song. Now I think the goal should be to put the whole thing together. Let's see how we do. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right, so that is the most important set of ideas to play Wall of Death by Richard Thompson. If you're digging that, stick around for the next part of the lesson where we're going to go into all kinds of crazy details about how he does this. But hope that gets you somewhere. Hope you enjoyed doing it. And yeah, hope to see you in the next lesson. Get you later.